After 500 days of cutting back my expenses, exactly how much money have I saved so far? A conservative estimate brings us to about $8,086, which turns out to be around $505 per month. More importantly, in this video, let's talk about why I did it, where I cut back, what I learned from a low buy experience, and some tips that you can take away to help make your low buy experience easier. And the best part of all of this is that I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. In fact, I feel like I live quite a fulfilled life. To me, low buy isn't just about being frugal. I still spend money happily. I just am more intentional about spending money where it matters to me so that I can continue to support a lifestyle where I'm able to prioritize activities that make me feel balanced and happy. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Carly. On this channel, I talk about financial literacy, living intentionally, and also the business side of modeling. I'm also launching a Substack newsletter where I'm sharing the inspiration behind these videos I make, as well as a more unfiltered view of other thoughts on my mind, kind of in a blog form. You can find that link in my description box, and let's get into the video. I started low buy last year for two reasons. The first one being that I knew I was going to quit my job that year. I had saved and invested 2 years worth of my overhead expenses to be able to give myself time to try to make a living without working a corporate job. I knew that every amount of money I saved and invested would give me extra time to pursue this. I recognized that at the end of the day, a few trendy pieces of clothing, jewelry, or beauty products didn't matter to me as much as being able to cover my overhead expenses for an extra month, or 2 or 3. And number two, I am at a point in my life where I'm moving every year or two, mostly apartments, sometimes cities, sometimes states, and soon countries. I expect to be moving in a few months, and this will largely be my lifestyle for the foreseeable future. It's just easier if I have fewer things I need to keep track of and take care of with every move. So having these strong reasons helped me stick to a low buy experience quite easily. If you are doing low buy, it's much easier if you have your specific reasons at the forefront of your mind. I cut back on any non-essential spending for myself. That included personal care, like beauty products, and shopping, like clothes and household items. I also had very few subscriptions to begin with, but I further cut down any extraneous ones I was using just to see how life would be without them for a month. For me, that was mostly Amazon Prime and Spotify, and I haven't signed back up for any of them yet. Next, I negotiated anything else I could, and I ended up negotiating down the cost of my Wi-Fi bill. I also stopped drinking. I still partake very occasionally, but I'm at a point now where it doesn't really move the needle in terms of my enjoyment for an evening, and I have saved a significant amount of money from just cutting out drinking alone. I started eating out less. I had always given myself the rule of eating out only for social occasions, but now I am also more selective about which ones I say yes to. More on that one later. I stopped buying things impulsively. I now buy things if I need to replace something that I have been regularly using or if it is for my business. I will say one of the harder parts of navigating the low buy experience for me was figuring out how to say no when people around me invited me to events that didn't really align with my priorities. As a rule of thumb, I always showed up to celebrations, birthdays, accomplishments, things of that nature. But for example, if a group was going to a concert, show, or some other event that I wouldn't have been interested in going to by myself, I generally declined those invitations. Overall, that led to a pretty good mix of nights out and nights in. And to be fair, I consider myself an introvert. I'm generally in bed by 9:30 on the weekdays and like 10:30 or 11 on the weekends, with the occasional exception. Low buy really reinforced the idea that we don't always have to say yes to everything we are invited to. That was a really good reminder for me as I started honing in on exactly what my priorities are. When I took a step back and tried to think about when I was inclined to spend more money, I noticed it often happened near the end of the work week or even the weekend. That's because I was burnt out from the week. I felt like I needed and or deserved a little treat. That's completely fine. I do deserve to treat myself. I also started thinking about what else I could do that would make me equally happy that didn't fall under the category of consumption or like didn't require me to spend money just to spend. And could I do more of that? I started exploring the city more, going to museums, going on runs with friends, and taking more classes at my gym. These were very low-cost ways to still make me feel fulfilled. I think if we can be a bit more creative and think outside of what we're constantly being told through marketing, there are so many ways we can still live a full life on a budget. When I started low buy, I quickly learned that spending doesn't equal happiness, because I still had happiness when I stopped spending. I also still had the same stressors and problems when I bought things that I thought would make me happy. In the past, when I bought everything I had on my buy list, things that I had done months of research for, all of my existing problems still remained. Buying those pieces of jewelry, bags, clothes, and shoes didn't really solve my problems. And sure, I still love these items and I still use those items very well, but now I don't feel the need to collect more of the same. On top of that, buying fewer things made me want fewer things. I started taking care of what I did have. I am constantly appreciative that I've had certain things for multiple years, and I enjoy getting great use out of the things that I take care of and own. I've gone through periods where I have lived more minimally and also where I've purchased more things. Going through an intentional low buy year and then continuing to extend it was a good reminder for me that I need less than I think I do. I can honestly say that I don't feel like I'm missing out despite buying fewer things. The time, energy, and money I used to spend on shopping, I have now redirected toward working on my businesses and growing my relationships. For example, I have standing social plans with my friends where on specific days of the week, I see the same friend. I'm also part of a book club. I have regular workout dates with friends. I have TV show episode watch parties. I also have a really strong gym community. And then with so many different social connections, it's easy to plan casual hangouts without the pressure of it being my only social interaction of the week. I used to think that hanging out with friends meant spending money, like going to brunch or doing a paid activity. But I found that it doesn't have to be the case if we think outside of the box a little bit. My home can be an activity, making dinner can be an activity, sitting on my apartment floor and eating snacks and talking about nothing and everything can be an activity. Last week, I spent all afternoon at a friend's house. Afternoon stretched to evening, and then she spontaneously made me dinner. I have a friend who taught me the concept of reciprocity, which is the belief of many indigenous cultures. It's the idea of mutual exchange and gifting, which can be done through many different ways outside of gifting things, like gifting our time, or our knowledge, or whatever it may be. Starting to implement reciprocity in my own life also led me to feeling more fulfilled without purchasing more things. I started low buy to give myself more time and freedom. Every time I skipped an unnecessary purchase, I knew I was buying myself more time to build a life on my own terms. That felt so much more valuable than a $100 trendy outfit, a $20 cocktail on a night out, or a $200 a year subscription I barely used. To be clear, there might have been a time when these purchases were worth it for me. There might even be a time in the future when these costs are worth it to me again. But for now, my priority is making a sustainable income outside of a corporate job. Buying fewer things right now is one of those things that will help get me there. All of the learnings I've taken from my low buy experience around mindful consumption have really taught me to think outside of the box and to live my life more intentionally. Let me know what the hardest thing for cutting back on low buy will be for you, and don't forget to check out my Substack in the description below. If you like this video, you would definitely be interested in this video on my step-by-step guide to cutting down on overconsumption.